欢迎回到本频道。在我们深入探讨今天的台湾星相盘之前，让我们先来看看为什么台湾会再次成为全球瞩目的焦点。在最近结束访华行程后，川普总统在空军1号的新闻简报会上发表了一些非常耐人寻味的言论。他公开将对台140亿美元的军售案形容位于北京谈判时非常好的谈判筹码。他同时也对台湾提出提醒，强调他不希望美国在数千英里之外发动战争。这些带有明显交易思维的言论震撼了国际，也引发了各界对台海未来的激烈讨论。接下来你要观看的主影片虽然是在几年前录制的，然而内部探讨的历史分析与星相盘，在今天看来依然受用，也或许可以诠释我们当前所见紧张局势的星象根源。每当在使用星盘看任何一个国家的运势时，我们必须先问自己第一个根本问题：我们究竟使用的是哪一个星盘？让我们一起来检视台湾的星象蓝图，看看星盘究竟带给我们什么样的启发。
Hi, this is Ro. Today is a special episode dedicated to the country where I'm from. Well, some people call it Taiwan, but the government call it the Republic of China. Most people know for a long time there's a tension between China and Taiwan. The reason that is because China see Taiwan as part of its rebel province, as part of China. So why upset about anyone contact with Taiwan directly, because they say everything related to Taiwan have to agree by China, which, well, the reality is not like this because, well, let me say I'm from Taiwan. I hold different passport. I have a Taiwanese passport, Republic of China passport, and we can elect our own president, our member of parliament, or we call it legislative, and we have freedom to go anywhere. But which is the historical problem. Today, I'm not going to talk about that because everyone has different view, and I respect it as long as you respect mine. But one thing is very interesting, and I like to discuss is which astrology chart should use by represent Taiwan. Because apparently when there is a tension and everyone talking about the Taiwan, and they use some different chart which confuse me quite a lot. For example, some astrologer use 1st July 1967, which I really have no idea what happened on that day in Taiwan, also called the Republic of China. Another astrologer used the 9th of April 1996. There is an election on that day, but that doesn't mean Taiwan was born on that day, okay? Let me go back to the fundamental thing. One thing I really highly recommend it, to be honest, if you are interested in mundane astrology, which is the astrology for world event, not only for political, but mostly world event and the geopolitics, or I think the mundane astrology even cover economic and the natural disaster, okay? But if you are into politics, there's one book you really highly recommend, not only the textbook mundane astrology, it's this one, okay? The book of World Horoscope by Nicholas Campion. I really love this book because Dr. Campion himself is a historian. And in this book, he really does a lot of research about the original chart, what chart you should use for what country. Honestly, I have 3 copies. And when I first know about this book, I was still in Taiwan and I already ordered a book. And then I didn't take it with me to UK, so I ordered another 2 copies here. I really love this book because it can tell you what kind of chart you can use for a certain country and the reason why. Okay, today I want to focus on what chart should be used by Taiwan. But the first things, I have to go back to history, very short history. I know most people doesn't like history. So I like to go back to short history about Taiwan, this island. Okay, the first, some basic data you should know about Taiwan. Then well, geographically, Taiwan is located on the east side of China, south of Japan, and north of Philippines, face the Pacific, 25 to 22 north latitude, 121 east longitude. Okay, so if you know this is a Pacific island between China and Pacific, which that is because it blocked Chinese way to go into Pacific in the old time, not now. Anyway, since long time, to be honest, Chinese people always say, Chinese government, not only all the Chinese people, Chinese government always says, since ancient, since long time, Taiwan belongs to China. Let me tell you, is that true? Well, it's arguable, to be honest. Let me rephrase you some, history. Let me share with you. This is what I've learned before, and also what we can read on the Wikipedia. Okay, I know it's nothing. We shouldn't do everything on Wikipedia, but at least it's a reliable source. Okay. If you look this one, until the 1683, Taiwan is what they call early settlement. Let me tell you what's during that time. Okay, during that time, Dutch first arrived Taiwan on 1624. They ruled the south part of Taiwan between 1624 to 1668. But meanwhile, at that time, Spanish come to North Taiwan, where I was born. Okay, well, it's between the 1626 to 1642 around that time, and they have the soldier from they cross the Pacific from Peru and Mexico, arrive at Philippines first, and come to North Taiwan. Both Dutch, Spanish, and even British, they are a little bit separate in South Taiwan and North Taiwan. During that time, Taiwan become an important hub, because these three countries want to trade with China, but they need a base. China disagree, they have some place. So they use Taiwan as a trading base to have a trade with China. After that, I think around the 1668, a Chinese rebel called Zheng Zhilong, he take over South Taiwan. He kicked out the Dutch and control the Taiwan island until the 1683. Qing dynasty decided to take over Taiwan. They ruled Taiwan until 1895. So would you agree, since ancient time, Taiwan belonged to China? Well, up to you. You can say whatever you like to say. But the early settlement and the early history, the first time Taiwan has been mentioned, Qing doesn't agree Taiwan belonged to them, because Dutch, the East India Company of Dutch, they want to trading with China. They want to take an island from China, but China say no way. But you can go to Formosa. That's another name of Taiwan, means beautiful island. This name given by Portuguese. So on the 26th of August, 1624, the representative from the Dutch East India Company come to Taiwan, South Taiwan, and build first legal governor in this land. Before this time, I should say there are some ruling power, but it is more found by Aboriginal people. Unfortunately, there is no document. So the first document we know was 26th August and 1624. Okay. Does that mean before that China controlled it? No, China even don't want it until 1683. They finally say, well, there's a pirate, coast not the problem. We want to tackle down this problem. If you want to tackle down this problem, take over Taiwan. That's finally they decide to take Taiwan. Until 1895, they have a war. They have a war with Japan, and they lost the war. So they give Taiwan to Japan. Taiwan became Japanese colony between 1895 to 1945 during the Second World War. Japan lose the wars. During that time, the Qing dynasty failed. And then the Republic of China replaced Qing and control mainland China. When the Republic of China was born on 1st January 1912, Taiwan wasn't belong to China. Okay? Was still under Japanese colonization. There is chance, I think, if historically Taiwanese people brave enough will declare independent anyway. It doesn't. So it hand back after Second World War, it hand back to Republic of China. But what happened is, we all know the modern history is during the 1949, communists taking over mainland, build a new country. On the 1st October 1949, People Republic of China, PRC, by communists, was on that day. On that day, Taiwan, because the former government, the ROC, Republic of China, or we call nationalist government, retreat to island and control the island. So to be honest, there is two China. That's why Chinese government are so insist every single country can only have a one China policy, because the reality there is two China. There is one called People Republic of China, another one called Republic of China, was settled in Taiwan. So this is a very brief history, and I'm not going to argue with you Is there two China or one China? In this case, I want to bring another argument is, so what chart should represent Taiwan? To be honest, it's very interesting if even you ask Taiwanese people about. So what day is National Day? Taiwanese people usually will answer you the 10th of October. But could we really use 10th of October as the Taiwan's chart? It's arguable, and I personally disagree. The National Day at 10th October was because on the 10th of October 1911, at that time, mainland China still ruling by Qing Empire. People are not happy. So on that day, they start a important uprising, a revolution. So that was a day of important revolution rather than country founded on that day. Okay, so well, arguably, could that be the birthday of country? It could be, but still on that day, we still don't know the country going to born or not. So if you choose the 10th of October 1911, you should know the place is Wuhan. The time was roughly around 6 p.m. and Wuhan. Let me see if I can show you. Okay, here we are. This one we call Double 10 Revolution. This is the 10th of October 1911, and I use the local time at 6 p.m. and in Wuhan. You can see, okay, Mars in the 10-degree Gemini, and the Aries rising. So Mars is ruling planet in second house. Okay, and the square Venus. It is very interesting because this couple chart always has a Mars-Venus relationship. Okay, and Sun in 15-degree Libra, but basically, I'm not 100% agree we should use this chart because it's a revolution chart, okay? Then another chart which I agree and I use it most was the 1st of January 1912. Because after revolution, finally all the power come together, agree the new country's name should call Republic of China. Even Taiwan wasn't belong to there, okay? But should be called Republic of China, and they chose Dr. Sun Yat-sen as a president during that time. And so most likely I like that chart. I like to use that chart. I call it Taiwan. Anyway, ROC, Republic of China, 1912. Okay, the city was they built a capital at Nanjing on the 1st January 1912. People argue, if you want to use this chart, should you use Taipei as a capital? I don't mind, because if you use Taipei, relocate it to Taipei, the ascendant and the MC will change. Not much. Ascendant will change to 8-degree Libra. In this chart, it's 7-degree Libra. But if you move to Taipei, ascendant will move 1 degree, and then the MC will stay the same. Okay, so there's not big difference. So I usually use Taipei. Okay, basically the argument is why I agree with this chart. This is also Dr. Campion choose the chart to use it. Okay, well, the reason is this government, although they no longer control mainland China, today's China we're talking about, but they was born, this government was born on 1st January 1912, and continuing, although be defeated, but never die. It continually survive in Taiwan. And the same government used the same spirit and the continuing constitution too, ruling Taiwan, ruling this island. So this is the government's, this is government represent Taiwan. That's why we call it Republic of China on Taiwan, okay? Or in Taiwan. All right, so this is the chart I mostly use. This is the chart I used. Some people will argue with you, say, but, Taiwan wasn't belong to China in this time. So since when Taiwan belonged to so-called Republic of China? Well, there is another time. It's 1945, after Second World War. We know there's 1945, the end of Second World War, Japan lost the war. So they accept the condition. The one of condition is hand back Taiwan to Republic of China, to Chiang Kai-shek government. On that day, on 25th of October 1945, I use 10 a.m. It's rough time. So this one, I have to say ascendant, I'm 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure. But in Taipei, there is a ceremony hand back Taiwan back to from Japan to Republic of China. Interestingly, could this chart represent Taiwan? I usually say no. This is the chart related between Taiwan and the Republic of China rather than People Republic of China. And this is not the Taiwan's government was born. There is no Taiwan's government. Taiwan's government was moved from mainland China, from Nanjing to Taipei. That's the argument I continuing use 1st January 1912. But to be honest, I find that this chart is very interesting and kind of fascinating because I will tell you why. Okay, I will tell you why. There's another argument is, well, in the idea of a modern country, you will have a people. Taiwan has people. You will have land to rule. Taiwan is the island, then the government called Republic of China ruling it. And but you need a constitution. It was interesting even in 1912 is the temporary constitution. The whole constitution was finalized on the Christmas 1947. On the 25th December 1947, the constitution finally imposed in China or Taiwan, because only imposed for 2 years and then communists take over it. You can argue with this because for some country like Japan, their empire continuing, but there is no exact day when this empire start. But there is a constitution for modern Japan to rely on. So some astrologers use this constitution for the Meiji constitution for Japan. So Taiwan maybe can also use 25th of December 1947. So these are the 3 charts which I more or less agree. First, I use that one is the one we call it the 1912 chart, 1st January 1912. The second one is the 1945, this one, but I don't use this one. I more believe the government was founded and was continuing from 1912, okay? And the final one, 1947, 25th of December, and that's constitution imposed in China and Taiwan, which I don't use very often, but there is a reason this chart should be valid. Okay, apart from these 3 dates, the other date I always confuse. I don't know why, because by that time, 67 or 1996, government already exists. The land already exists. But there's another interesting day. I like it. So I think with Campion suggest that there's another chart we can use for the Republic of China, which the government ruling Taiwan now, is the 13th of February 1912, because the Qing Empire, the last emperor, you know the movie Last Emperor, Pu Yi, who retreat, give away his power on the 12th of February 1912. So the new China was totally agree that time is 13th February 1912. Well, rarely people use this chart, and it's all up to you which chart you like. 1st January 1912, or 5th October 1945, or 25th December 1947, or even you want to use the arguable 10th of October 1911, which is fine, use it. What I'm going to suggest is for mundane astrologer, you not just pick up one chart and say, I like this chart. No, you have to examine it. So how do you examine it? You can use the technique you know, either translate solar arc and collect a historical event for that country, and then you examine it. For example, if I want to examine which chart I feel more comfortable to use with Taiwan, then I will choose a few important dates in the history of Taiwan, and then run the transit or the direction, or even you are traditional astrologer, you like want to perfection, all up to you. And use that kind of technique then to examine, does the event fit into the history and the astrological meaning. So let me show you few things. Here is some few chart I like to show you. And we all know that's why when Taiwan become recent focus was Nancy Pelosi visit Taiwan, and the day after China launched missile tour to Taiwan. Okay, then let's see the timing, because that would be pretty intense, right? Okay, let's see. If I use 1912 and the time they launched the missile, it is very interesting that with 1912 chart, Taiwan has or Republic of China, I call it Taiwan, all right? Also, it's not official name, has Pluto on Uranus, which the spirit of independence has been tested, okay, has been challenged. And we have the Jupiter on the descendant, which you get the recognized or the support or on the news of foreign media, okay? And kind of you receive the support from your ally. Also, you will see the Uranus is around 8th house, right under Taiwan's Saturn, Moon, and very close to the Mars. And Taiwan is going to have its Mars return very soon, I think, in this couple of days. Okay, so this describes why Taiwan is so, busy at this moment. It's a hot topic at this moment. And well, interesting, if you go to look Chinese chart, the same, especially China has 5-degree Aquarius ascendant, 3-degree Aquarius moon. By next year, Pluto will start around there. We don't know what's going to happen, but could be very, very destructive or intense. I don't like the word destructive. Could be very intense for people in this area. Okay, this is the chart I use for Taiwan, but it's not the only one. This one is interesting. This chart is another crisis in Taiwan, recent one. It's on the 2003, on the 13th of March, the SARS happened. You may not know what is SARS. Well, it's the first COVID. You can call it COVID 2003. Okay, that was during the 2002, 2003 when the coronavirus started in South China. This is the first case happened, and it really caused huge crisis. If we compare that time with the 1912, then you will see the Saturn is approach Pluto. And then we have Mars go through the IC. And then we also kind of, Chiron is going through opposite the Neptune, okay? But that is another chart, okay? So that's mundane astrologer to examine the chart. You're probably not going to say, I like this chart, so I use it. You need to rational and you have to examine it. So if I use the same case, but apply it to 1945, this is why I say I couldn't rule out this chart is valid of 1945 when after Second World War, Taiwan handed back to China. Because if you use this chart, you will notice on that time, well, Saturn is on descendant and Pluto is on ascendant, okay? And it's kind of a, quite kind of a hot situation because that was a time Taiwanese people was quite faced a huge crisis, okay? So, and remember, not just only use transit, you can also try any other technique. The profession or direction, just use it if you like. This another time is interesting. Okay, as I say, since 1949, nationalist government come to Taiwan, and very soon they impose martial law because it's war. They have war with communists, so they impose so-called martial law. And then on 1987, 15th of July, they announced end of martial law. This is Taiwan step or Republic of China step into democratic. Before that was one big party called KMT and nationalist. They control Taiwan. They rule Taiwan. When a huge party totally control a country, what could happen? I'm not going to mention it. It may upset a lot of people. But you can see from this chart, beautiful Venus and Mercury on ascendant. Mercury retrograde is a second chance of a freedom of speech. Okay? And on that day, Sun is on Neptune. Beautiful. And Jupiter is on Node. And then Chiron on 24-degree Gemini, next close to Pluto on 27 Gemini is beautiful because from that day, that was the time I was a teenager. You don't know how important that. When I was 10 years old, one of the teachers say they could put you in the prison if you say that. For a 10-year-old boy, that's a pretty scary. So on the 1987, that year is so important for me. So, and you can see, interestingly, Neptune coming to the ice. Beautiful. And you can see also not only Neptune, also the Uranus conjunct the NATO Mercury on 25th Sagittarius retrograde. I like this chart. This is a beautiful chart. Okay. If you see this one, also use the same timing, but you check the 25th October 1945 chart, still valid. Can you see? It's quite interesting because that Uranus opposite Chiron is conjunct the moon and on the ascendant descendant. Okay, and you have the sun is on the Saturn, and the Mars getting close to Pluto. Well, I don't know, but this is also a liberation, to be honest. It is to set your country free and set your people free. So this chart, that's why I say usually I don't like this 1945 chart because there is no sense of the government was continuing from China. Also, I don't like them anyway. But as a historian, I study history too. I have to follow the fact that the fact of history is the government from there, from China, from mainland China, continuing ruling Taiwan until today. But the 25th October is an important day, and if astrologically, it does work too, okay? Astrologically, it does work. Let me check another chart. Okay, this is an important chart. So you can see the Neptune was around that time. Okay, this is the 1947. A huge conflict called 28 February incident was happened in Taiwan. That was starting the whole dark age of Taiwan. Thousands people has been killed because they against government from China, which caused a lot of problem. The martial law was imposed that time too. And so it was a huge traumatic time for Taiwan. And if you look this one, you can see Neptune on ascendant and the Jupiter in Scorpion, conjunct Venus in Scorpion, okay? Apart from that, I didn't see anything, but you can see maybe Chiron opposite Saturn and very soon will opposite Moon and Mars. That could be something, that could be an indication happen. Let me see another chart. The same chart, but here is a little bit tricky because it's just 2 years apart, okay? So if we focus on the inner planet, nothing talking about that, probably just, I have to say, well, Saturn is approaching Pluto because you can see the outer planet is not moving, okay? To be honest. My suggestion is run those charts, okay? So there is 3 charts basically today. The main information, there are 3 charts I mainly use for Taiwan or Taiwanese government call themselves, call ourselves, the Republic of China, ROC, different from People, Republic of China, PRC, Communist, okay? So the first chart I use is the 1st January 1912, a midnight chart in Nanjing or Taipei, you can use either. And this is the country was settled, was say, okay, name is Republic of China, and we have government, and we have president, and the ruling China at that time, finally moved to Taiwan, 1949. Okay, this is the first chart we use. And I personally use this chart. And also, this chart was registered on the Book of World Scope, okay, the Book of World Scope. Another chart was 25th October 1945, the historical chart, and I personally don't use it. Some people argue with it, and when you examine it, it does have some interesting effect from transit view. So maybe we should continue exam with a direction or the perfection, okay? Another one maybe can use, but not many people do it, is for use Constitution, okay, 25th December 1947. That's another possibility. I haven't checked this chart, but you can do it, okay, you can try it. It could be very interesting. There is very interesting view that people talking about Taiwan, but don't know what country it is, and don't know it's called Republic of China. Well, it is a pleasure and an honor to share all these fun fact or not fun fact or serious discussion with our friend and with astrological community. Don't forget, next time when you're talking about Taiwan, don't forget there is a 3 chart in use. Please don't use something like a 1967 or 1996. I even don't know what happened on that day. Please, if you know why you choose that chart and use that day, please leave me the message, okay? Please leave me the message so we can have a further discussion. I'm very open-minded. Why you think the other date represents Taiwan rather than because there's a government coming from mainland China, and that government was formed on 1st January 1912 in Nanjing, and they continue. They never disappear. Even I don't like this history, but history is history. How could I deny it and choose whatever date? Say I'm happy with this date, okay? But It's not attack anyone, to be honest. It's just maybe you don't know the history, but in the end of the day, it's your choice. Which chart you want to use to study when there's things happen between Taiwan and China, or next time Taiwan has been mentioned on the news, you want to use. Bye.
按赞、订阅、分享，谢谢大家观看到最后。